Okay, so it's 5:55 on the 16th, which this is my first day doing it on the laptop. So last night I tried to do a test, and then I saw it super dark, so I have one of those light rings, so I put one above here to try and put more light in. Because if you turn the lights on, well, for one thing, the dogs won't go to sleep, but for another thing, they cast shadows. When the lights are above you like that, they cast shadows down on your face. This one being more direct light, it is just better lighting. I don't know. I'm not a lighting expert. But, anyways, there's a few things to talk about. I am like, feel so frazzled today. Like, I feel really frazzled and I feel stressed. I feel so stressed. And one thing that was hitting me hard this morning was my disability insurance runs out June because when you turn 65, they decide, well, you're retiring. So it's it's not our problem anymore. So then all I have is Social Security, which is not much, man. Social Security is like a joke. And then there's been all this talk, that Donald's going to raise it significantly, but the stuff just goes on and on and on. It's really challenging to stay hopeful on some of this stuff. It's really a challenge to keep thinking, oh, things are going to get better when it feels like, the toilet's flushing and the water's going down and you're holding on to the ring. It's like, God dang. So, anyways, that was just like this morning. I was even trying to add up all my stuff. I was like, oh my God, I will not be able to pay everything. And I'm living in like this little bungalow, like it's on the river. But because my daughter yesterday, she's like, well, you're just going to have to move out of the country. You can't afford to live in America anymore. And luckily, I have this little place until, my brother decides to sell it if things haven't changed, which everything's going to change, but when is the question, and how long or how far do we have to go into the struggle before it collapses? Which, there's lots of people. Oh, you still got people every day. Oh, we just timeline jump. We're timeline jumping. Everything just changed. It's like, well, I wish that were true. I wish that everything just changed. So, yeah, I'm still in my loop. It's like, pull me out. Everything's changing for everybody else. Get me out of here. So, anyways, the but yeah, I was adding up my stuff and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to be saving to try and make it to the end of the year, especially because my car gets paid off this year, but not till December. And so my income changes in July. I will no longer, because they don't pay you for your happy birthday month. Why would they do that? They stop the month before. And so anyways, um, that has been like stressing me this morning. And I know we're supposed to not look at any of that stuff of like, oh, if you think that way, you're going to create that for yourself and all that stuff. But I've been believing for a long time everything's going to collapse, everything's going to change, and the world's going to change, and we're going to have a different financial system and stuff like that. So I've believed for a long time that it's not going to be this way, but it's gone on for so many years that I have to be realistic at some point, and I can't just live in a fantasy of hope. I've got to, I'm not going to give up on the dream, but, it's definitely, there's obstacles and it's a challenge. So, anyways, that's where I'm at today. And then crazy dream world again. It's so intense and there's so much energy going in the dream world. And then, and it was crazy too because I was just thinking this morning, wow, Stella, I think she got it. I think she's not whining anymore to wake me up. She just kind of moves around and kind of does a little bit of stirring around, and I wake up and give her some more medicine, and she doesn't just startle me awake with a cry. And so I was thinking, oh man, maybe all my telling her, she finally figured it out. But then this morning, she became relentless. She would not stop. Right after I just finished thinking that, and she just went. It just kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until I finally just got up. It's like I did not want to get up, man. wanted to keep sleeping. It was like 3:45 in the morning. I was like, oh my God. People complain about their dogs waking them up at 6. Try being 2, 3, and 4. And that's after they've already woke you up at 9, 10, 12. It's like, God dang. And I think the vet's closed today, but I got to talk to him about Max. Like, I don't even know. Like, somebody was telling me that their cat has those, but it's tumors. So I'm going to ask him, are you sure it's not tumors in his tonsils? And also, did you look at his teeth while you were in there? Because there's something going on because he's not getting better. And so anyways, who knows where that's going to go. So the so I have my own stressors, my own things where it's on my mind stressing me out. And but we all do. Everybody's having their stressors. Everybody's having things that have their own personal stuff that we all have to face. I guess it's all part of the shedding. But you definitely have the people who are really into the astrology and all that stuff. They are really hot on this whole eclipse. The eclipse is going to change everything. I'm gonna fucking hope so. I saw a girl who was explaining. It was above my head. There's certain things that are just so like above my head. Like I can catch on what they're saying, but to understand it in the complexity of being able to explain it back to somebody, it's like no. So she was talking about the economic crash, and that she was saying she was looking into something. I think she said she was looking into Hooters because it didn't make any sense. Hooters is making tons of money, so why are they going bankrupt? And then she started thinking about Joann's too, because those two she said specifically. So Joann's makes a ton of money. There was no reason for them to go bankrupt and close their places, and same with Hooters. So she started looking into it. And then she started seeing, I'll try and explain it how I understand it. I can't explain it, like how she was, which sounds very intelligent. So there is certain kinds of loans, and there's these non-profit, these entities. It's like the same thing with this LLC, these shell companies and stuff. So they buy in and invest, and then the bank loans them money to invest or some nonsense, but then the store owes the investor, which are these like shell companies that go under a category of like, it's not nonprofit, it's something though. They go under a category of what they are. And so the bank gave them all these loans, but they are all adjustable. So every month these payments keep going up, and it's drowning the people. But what's even worse, drowning the businesses that are making money. But what's even worse is, well, it's all a manipulation in the corporation for sure, and the bankers are all involved in it and stuff like that. But she said what's the worst thing about it is so, and Charlie talked about this in way back in 2020. So the worst thing about it, and what he talked about, is that the people who were going to lose their retirement, and that people were going to freak out about it, and which I get it, man. Like I don't even have any, and it's a struggle. But the people who do, then that is like someone stealing from you. You have all this money you think you're going to retire on, but so they're stealing that from people. And how they're doing it is, so they have this it's a lot of laundry, and then they put it over here, then they charge them too much for this, so then there's all of this, but then they have all of the, like when you go down and you do your 401k, your ROA, or your Roth, whatever, all that stuff. So they say, well, do you want to invest in safe things, or you want to make a little bit more and go a little bit more where it's not quite as safe, or do you want to really go in and you want to really take your chances and invest and get a big payback? And they'll push you to not play it too safe. The people who are in the financial institution of this system. And so, but that is what the investment is these short loan things, these things. So it's going to collapse all of the retirement accounts. Like I said, she explained it way better. Like, I don't know that I'm explaining it where it even makes any sense. But yeah, this whole thing is going to collapse that. But we've been watching this. I mean, 2020, they collapsed all of the small businesses. And they've been taking over control of everybody's stuff, because it just reminds me of like back when I was a kid and there was all these independent women, all these women who went and just cleaned people's houses. And they oh my it's weird when I don't have my phone. So they cleaned all these people's houses and they made cash. It was they made cash and they'd pay, and they were independent. They could decide who they wanted to work for. If they didn't want to work for you, they wouldn't work for you. And so it was a lot of independence and a way for the who to get their little nasty mitts on it. So the and the only way I can think of that they put more restrictions on things, more things to overcome. And they always play it off as to make it more safe for the consumer. And then they also started a lot of those corporate cleaning things. Oh, well, this is the way you go. And then I'm pretty sure those ones charge a lot more too, because they've got to, the corporation's making the money and they got to pay their workers. And then they make their workers buy all of their cleaning supplies, which a lot of cleaning supplies are super toxic, and because they're cheap, which this is really creepy. So this was in the 20s, and they were, let me think what it was they were doing. So there was this stuff, radium. So you know what that would be. And so there was this was in the beginnings of corporations, I guess. But so there was a business, and it was making a product. And they had all these women come in and make this product, which they had to paint with that stuff onto something. I can't remember what the product was, but the stuff would, light up and stuff. So and they told the women, "Oh, it's totally safe. It's totally safe." But in the back, the money guys, the scientist guys, they wouldn't handle that stuff. They'd have be all suited up. They'd have gloves. They wouldn't handle it. And out here in the main room, all these women are sitting there handling it all day long. And not only that, but since it was so safe, they would do fun things like paint it on their teeth and paint it on their fingernails to make them all light up. And then they would also tell them to lick their brushes. So lick your brush to clean it, I guess. And so they were constantly licking this stuff, putting it on their teeth, putting it on their fingers, being told it was safe, until their jaws started falling off. So their teeth start falling out. Their jaws start falling off. And the thing is all these women thought they were lucky as hell. They thought they had a great job. They were getting paid good. And it was kind of like that kind of job where like, oh man, you're so lucky. And think of back during the time of the 20s. And so then everybody's, face started falling off and their teeth started falling out. So they did end up winning a lawsuit against the company, but all the women died, of course. So that's the corporate way, and it's just gone over and over and over. And then these cases go hidden, and it's repeat. And so, but that's how vile these people are, and that those scientists, they're just watching to see what happens. They just want to know because they're not going to touch it, but they want to know what's going to happen. And even when they were going and all these women were in the hospital and stuff like that, there was so much inside them, they were lighting up. Like there was a light inside of them. It's really creepy. So, anyways, that, that's just the world we live in and how really horrific these people are that run this place. Which, I saw another thing. Let me think. More people getting busted who are church people involved in heinous things because that was always beard. And when they raise up orphanages and all that stuff in the name of the church, look at all the good deeds we're doing. We're going to make this orphanage. Okay. It's our shopping center, but you guys don't know that. So, but the, was another thing. Oh, yeah. Okay. So more about the mind control and stuff. So it talks about that apparently in the the files, and the the tower, which was a hot topic. Anybody who was a conspiracy theorist, we got told how crazy that sounds. We're crazy. Those are for cell towers. Those are cells. It's like, well, that's crazy because I get close to one and my cell doesn't work. So, but and I was talking about these things years ago. I was saying you could, I could hear or feel the frequency. Like I could feel it. And it would be like you could feel something turn up and hear it. It would be this loud sound. And I would talk about this all the time over in the cabin. And every time I would start hearing it and feeling it, ambulance would start showing up in my neighborhood. And I'd be like, man, I know that's what it is. And some people start feeling like they're having a heart attack and anxiety or whatever is going on, or that really is causing them to have heart attacks and strokes and stuff. So, anyways, that's come out now, but that was all true. And not only that, they've got which a lot of people were talking about for a long time, what is it, the skull head communication, whatever. So they're talking directly into people, which in the whole thing of which I've said for so long, you are an antenna. Like your thoughts are not your own. You're picking up on all of this stuff, and you've got to be able to recognize who's talking to you and what, and you recognize it through the energy of what it is they're saying. So when they're telling you you're a rotten piece of shit, you stupid ass bitch, that's when you tell them, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out of here. And like I've said, I've been saying this stuff for years. And the voices that you want to hear are usually the most quiet. They're not in your face. The ones that are in your face and the loudest and the most toxic, that is dark energy, and apparently it's them. And so they have been doing that, and part of their control of the noggin. And so a lot of people don't know because they don't realize the spiritual battle we're in, and they don't know how to battle it. They don't know how to fight it. And so they just become consumed. And which one thing too is a bunch of people are starting to recognize that because they're all over on TikTok and stuff talking about this stuff, and I'm pretty sure on Twitter, and also I guess Instagram Reels is now becoming very fluid, or very what is that word? It's not influential, it's not fluid, it's they're also catching on, so that lots of people are on there saying the same things. And so there's a few places, not just TikTok, where you can hear people telling the truth. There's other places. And so, but it's minimal. And a lot of people aren't on those. And they think that people who are idiots. I think probably because the news tells them to think that way. And so they ignore the stuff. So now we've got all these people who are finding out all this information. They're kind of going through what some of us already went through, and they're going and telling people to talk about it. And people are like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. Where do you get your news? Why don't you watch the main news programs? You're just listening to anything you hear online." It's like, isn't that funny how it goes around comes around, because y'all were telling us that just a few years ago. So now they're getting it, and now they're recognizing that they're putting all the pieces together. They're understanding, like, when you go and you listen to all these people and you're getting so much more information. The news is very choosy over what it is it's telling you, and it's all about creating a storyline. And so they're not going to give you all the news. They're not going to tell you everything. And then on these social platforms that are global, you get information from people all around the globe, all around, you see what's going on in other places. You hear people putting out pleas, help us, spread the word, this is happening, that's happening. And there's a lot going on everywhere. And then the people who are all on there reading the files and stuff, sharing information online. Well, there's a whole still group of people who are completely ignorant to the whole thing. And so now it's getting to people. Some people are like, "Oh, there's NPCs everywhere. People are not listening. People are so," like, they're realizing the same frustrations that we went through, because it's all about our growth and our awakening. It's all about what we go through. And so it all goes together. And it goes in stages, like, so now it's going through their stage. They're going through the same thing that we went through. The only good thing is it's the ripple, though. You gotta think about that. It's more people are changing all the time, so it spreads all the time, and they're learning from the experience the same way we did. And so and there's still people out there who are want to wake people up, and it's very frustrating, and they feel like it's too much pressure. They want to give up and stuff, but that we need to give up. We can't wake people up. They come to their knowing when it's time for them. So you can't just wake them up. It's not your job. So it's everybody has, like I said, it's like you're running a program. So when it's their time, it will be their time, and it will, because they are it's a part of their lessons. It's part of their lesson plan, when and how and what they experience. So anyways, you got people going through that. There was something else I was going to say, and then I start skipping around, but let me think if I can get back to it. So, oh yeah, because the mind control, the Towers of B. Oh yeah, now Mardi Gras. So it is Mardi Gras, and oh my God, it is mental. And I think they got those everywhere. Somebody was talking about down by the bars in LA. They said that they're low and they're everywhere. And they were saying, just imagine what's going on when these people are coming out drunk, and what messages are being sent, because they are quite open, because the alcohol opens you up to these entities, this your channel, which a lot of people are losing their minds. So the whole thing about the WEED, and now all these doctors and all these people are coming out and saying, yes, it's caused psychosis, I've gone crazy. And these doctors are backing them up, like, yes, this is true. There's like a mental psychosis happening. And to me, like, even when I started smoking, like, I started saying to people, like, do you guys hear that? Like, all those beings talking? Like, does it open you up to another world? And they would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But now, You can't, it's happening. But they don't know what's happening, so they think they're going crazy because that's how they've been programmed to think that that means you're crazy. And they're becoming very detached from their bodies and becoming detached from reality. So then they're being told that they've got the psychosis. You gotta lay off the weed, man. Get off that stuff. It's gonna drive you crazy. So this reefer madness has gone a whole other level now. It's I've gone crazy. You're crazy. It's like, no, you are open to the real world, and you are, you, since you don't understand it and you don't trust it, you don't understand it and you don't trust it, then it is, terrorizing you. And so it's so important to learn, who you are and what you are and the spiritual side of the world. And now I saw a couple videos of people who have been in psychosis, but luckily those prescriptions they saved them. And but they were saying, when you can't trust your own mind and stuff. And this one guy, I was listening to his whole long story, which he's not the only one, his sister too, which probably because you guys are more open to being psychic or something. But he, his was really deep. It was long because it started when he was a kid, and he's missing one eye, and they told him he had cancer in his eye when he was a little kid, and they had to remove it. Well, he started thinking that it was his laser eye, and they were trying to take away his powers, and so he got more and more paranoid. And that's the thing, is like when you've got these voices coming in telling you things, you got to know when to tell them to shut the fuck up and get the fuck out of here, because otherwise you like lose yourself. And so when they're coming in and they're telling you like, oh, they're all out to get you, they're all looking at you, oh, you know what they're gonna do, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do, and people start listening to that. And so he became super paranoid. The story he was telling about, that was his last thing, was his daughter got sick. He was already having problems, and he would always wear two pairs of clothes. So he would get dressed and he'd put another pair of clothes over it, because he had to be able to change his identity quickly out in the world, because they were going to get him. And there's a hair in my tooth or something. And so he would, so that was already, he already had something telling him, be prepared, this paranoia was building. So then they had to take his daughter to the hospital for something. So him and his wife go and take the daughter, and, it's driving me crazy. Something happened. It's like a hair is stuck, between my teeth, and it keeps hitting in my mouth. So it's probably dog hair too. So he, it's gonna drive me crazy. I know, it's so weird how I can't get it out. I'm gonna keep, it's just gonna drive me crazy. So, as I'm talking about going crazy, which also in the file, it tells you it can do things like that. It can make you feel like someone's touching you. They can do all sorts of stuff way beyond what people realize. And so he said that he something happened at the hospital that triggered him, and so he just took off running. So he just took off running through the hospital, and he started running to his home. When he got to his home, when he got to his neighborhood, he saw a house with a pool, and he thinks pools are portals, which water is portals. And so he jumped in to try and escape to go to a different world. So when he jumped in, he kept coming back up, but he kept being in the same place. So then he thought, well, okay, it's a safe house. This is where I'm safe. So he went in, and the people started freaking out and told him, get the hell out of our house. Who the hell are you? Get out of here. And so he takes off running again. And he may have shedded some clothes. I'm not sure. At some point, I think he shedded one of his outfits. And then he runs in on his porch, and he has a couch or something on his porch, and he hid behind the couch. But he could hear all these sirens. He could hear people out there calling him and stuff. But he was just feeding into this paranoia. And so his story was pretty long. But so he's hiding, and he thinks he just needs to stay there till night where he can, get away. And then he hears his dad calling him. And so then he goes to his dad's voice, and he said he walked up to him, and he didn't look like his dad, and he spit in his face and said, "You're not my dad. Why are you pretending to be my dad or something?" And the dad said, "Well, you're going to have to trust me." And so then the police took him and took him to the hospital. Nobody wanted to press charges on him or something. My son-in-law went through something that was pretty similar. And because when the voices take over and you're not fighting back, and you think, I don't know how to explain it, but people get lost in their own head, and they don't know how to battle back with the voices and tell them. And so they believe them and they listen to them. And so you lose yourself. And I think all the little white coats do with their little white papers is close down parts of your sensors. So you're not hearing and picking up on all of the things, but so they've fixed you. It's like, no, they're causing an interference. And you need to learn how to battle back, how you need to learn to, this is real, and these are entities messing with me. And so you got to learn how to fight back. So anyways, that I saw a couple of people, another guy talking about what it's like to be like sometimes I just run across these things, and it's just, I guess, listening to one and then they send you another one. So, and I didn't listen so much to the other guy's story because I already know, like, you guys, it's like you get lost in yourself. You get lost in this world, and you got to learn how to fight the world that we're really in. And so, anyways, and then, but it is coming out on the files. Like, they're part of this control of, messing with you. And so, who knows how it's all going to go. Who knows what all's going to happen. I hope, like, you got all these people like, this is for real now. This eclipse, everything's going to change. The world's going to change. There's not going to be any more. And it's like, I hope so, man. I hope that this stuff hurries and collapses. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I know it's not just me. It's not just my finances can't afford this place. It's across the board. Most people can't. Most people, like, they've what is that? They've pushed us all out of being able to survive in their world, but it's like, you're kind of like, well, where else is there to go? And we're kind of like in a rock in a hard place, whatever that is. We're up against the wall, like, even when you're trying to break free, which I saw a lady who was in the store. It's so funny because when I stopped paying the my house and stuff, and people thought I was so crazy, and I kept telling them, I'm not paying these sick motherfuckers another goddamn red cent. Fuck these baby and pervs and all that stuff. So I would say that stuff. And people would be like, oh my God, she's gone so crazy. And everybody thought, I just believed anything on the internet. And I just become crazy and paranoid. And I was like, no, this is real. And so now people are seeing, like, oh yeah, that's real. So now more people are being like, I'm not paying these pervs. And so this was a video. This lady was at a store, and she was buying a can of soda or something. And so she goes up to pay for it. Somebody's filming all this. And she said, it may have been somebody who she was with. And so she says, well, I don't want to pay the taxes on it. And the girl says, well, you have to pay the taxes. And she said, well, I'm not paying the taxes on this. And I'm not paying taxes anymore. I'm not paying these perverts. I'm not paying. And she starts going in on the, these sick people. I'm not paying them for what they're doing and stuff. And so the girl's like, well, I understand. I don't think she understood at all. And she's like, well, I understand, but you have to pay the taxes. And she goes, you can't do anything to take the taxes off. And she said, well, we can, but we can't. And you have to have a tax exempt card. So I could, but I can't do it. And you have to pay them. And she goes, well, I'm not going to. And she goes, well, then you can't have the product. And she goes, well, I'm taking the product. I'm not paying the taxes, though. And the woman was like, well, that's stealing. And she goes, well, I don't care. I'm not paying these. And you're trying to force me to pay something. I'm not going to pay. It's like this battle going back and forth. And so then she ends up just taking the soda and leaving. And the girl's like, I'm calling the cops on a soda. And the cops would probably run over there. She's got a soda. Get her. Take her down. It's like, I think this world is so wacky, man. So anyways, but it was just funny to see somebody else saying that stuff of like, I'm not giving them any money. Because I think, more and more of us are like, I'm not funding this stuff. This is sick stuff that they're doing, and I'm not funding it. And people are getting very frustrated because they think that nothing's really happening. Oh, which there's one side that thinks that Hillary's going to really expose Donald this week. She's going to really, Donald's running scared at this point. It's like, you guys, boy, oh boy, you guys are lost in this storyline. But, yeah, so there's a whole crew waiting for, they're tuning in. But what did I say before? Is that's what the whole thing is to get people to tune in. But, who knows how it's going to play out. But, should get them hopefully to see things more clearly. But yeah, Hillary's like, oh, I'm taking them all. I'm gonna expose them all. And Bill's like, oh, I'm not. It's all lies about me, and I'm gonna make sure everybody knows. It's whatever's gonna play out on this big hearing, we'll see. But that's the thing is, like, so many people don't realize, like, so many of these people aren't even the real people. They're already gone. They did do these things, and they are a part of it. And the reason Donald's still here is because he's not. They could have taken him down a long time ago. They could have exposed all this stuff a long time ago if it was all him, right? They had every opportunity, but they weren't because they didn't want the truth to come out about them. And so they're trying to now make it, oh, it's him. Oh, okay. In these things where he says, well, we need to move on. It's time to move on. But I think that's a part of the awakening because people are getting so stuck. And the way to move on is to start creating the new world. And we need more people on board with that. Because otherwise we're just in this old one, just going over and over. We're just stomping around on the ashes, And because this, well, for one thing, this one is going to go out with a bang. But still, the drive and the motivation is like, we need a protest. We need to change them. We need to do this. We need to do that. It's like, no, we need to recognize this world that we're in and pull free and move in to start creating a new one. Like, get out of this one. But they want to stay in it and then fix it. It's like, there's nothing to fix here. This was their world. This was their thing. And they can eat whoever they want to eat because that's what these are different beings. They aren't the same as us. And so I think hold on. So I think that's probably why he's like, we need to move on now. We need to, because people are getting really stuck and just like chewing it up and chewing it up and chewing it up. And we need to recognize, what the world is and then move on from there. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to play out. I just hoping that we have some significant things. Because tomorrow's our big day to start our new year. And this eclipse and all this planetary stuff that's happening is supposed to be this big, significant thing that's going to be changing everything. It's supposed to be this big, huge thing. So I just hope so, because this has been going on for so long, man. So, but yesterday, so I watched this movie yesterday, and it was called The Triangle. And it was 3 parts, and it was on YouTube, and each part was like an hour and a half. And I think it was like from 2020, so I don't know if it was a mini series. I mean, not 2020. I think it was from the 1990s. I'm not sure, but it like had Eric Stoltz in it. It had some other people. I can't think of all their names, but got the allergies. So the so it's called The Triangle. Oh yeah, it also had oh, I can't think of his name either. Sometimes I can't think of names. But his but so it was about the Bermuda Triangle. And so the premise was uh it was kind of trippy, because how it started was these 3 ships in the 1400s, like the Santa Maria, the Nina, the Pinta, or whatever, the 3 that discovered America kind of situation. And there was a lot that were being sent out by the crown to go and look for more lands. And so there was explorers out all over the place exploring. And they're out there, and this big storm kind of happens, and a big ship from nowadays all of a sudden goes past them. It was really cool. And as it was going past, the some were being sucked away, so they were being sucked onto the other ship, because it's like an energetic kind of portal kind of thing. So the so anyways, then the ship, so it starts going from the more current time. So the old time now is, it was just the scene. And so the guy who owns this shipping line, so they are I don't even remember, huge amount of ships, and they bring everything from everywhere. And so that's how we get all of our stuff is through this shipping line. So this really rich family owns it, and they have um, some of their ships are disappearing. And this one, when it came back, most of the what is it, the staff, most of the people who are working on it, whatever they're called, were not there anymore. There was only like 7 left, and they were all freaked out. They won't even go inside the ship. Inside parts of the ship was just blood splatter and stuff too. And they found one body, and it had a necklace that was from 15, or no, I thought they said 1500s, but it was from the 1400s when it showed the time of this ship passing. So, but this really old necklace made with whatever the products. So there's nothing like that we have now. So they knew something weird was going on. So this rich guy, he is hiring these other people to try and figure out what's happening. And so he has a journalist, he has a scientist, he has an ocean expert, and he has a psychic. And they're all supposed to work together, and he's going to pay them $5 million each if they can figure out what the hell's going on. And because he's losing ships. Well, he doesn't even tell him that his brother was on one of those ships, and he is trying to find his brother. And so then there keeps being these things that happen in the triangle. And one of them is a plane crash. So these people just got hired, and they get whipped over to this plane crash situation. And then it shows what was going on in the plane. And the plane was just going, but all of a sudden they had all these World War II planes coming at them. And so they start trying to like duck them, and then they crash. And so they bring over these experts, which has got military. All of these people are here for this big thing, and they don't know who these people are. But they let them have access, so these people start seeing stuff. Well, a psychic can see there's somebody alive in the plane. And so 2 of them go down to dive to bring this person up. And so when the plane crash, and another thing about the plane crash is that it looks like it's been down there for 50 years. but it just went down a few minutes ago. And then there's also World War II planes that are crashed like with it. And so they're like, how in the world is this possible? And the World War II planes and the people in them look like they just now crashed, but the people, the jetliner looks like it's been there for 50 years. So they're like, what in the world? And then the psychic is saying somebody's on board and they're alive. So they dive down to get her and bring her back up. And so he said it was a little kid. And so it's an old lady. And so they start questioning her and stuff. And she's freaked out. She acts like a little kid. And she's like, where's my mommy and where's my daddy? And so they're just more like, what is going on? She was 6 years old a few minutes ago when the plane crashed, and now she's like 80 years old. So what is happening? And she doesn't have any clue. And of course, the military just takes her off to a study base somewhere and keeps her locked up. And so these people, the experts, they have to keep zipping around and trying to figure out what's going on. Well, they start going through these portals all the time. And as they go through a portal, then all of a sudden their reality changes. So, there was also this other scene where there was this big whaler giant ship. And so it's out and they are, I guess, killing the whales. And so then you have the whale activists, whatever they're called, the PETA or something, whatever those people were. So they are out trying to mess with this ship and getting them on camera and telling them to stop. And they're trying to get this whale. And so they're on like a little like motorized raft boat too, out in the middle of the ocean with this giant freaking ship. And something happens that all of a sudden hits into the ship, and the ship cracks in half and starts sinking, and all the people start falling. And so the pressure, when a ship is sinking, you're supposed to get away from as fast as you can because the pressure of it starts sucking. So it sucks you down with it. So that's why if something's sinking, you're supposed to swim away from it as fast as you can because it will suck you down. And so it's sucking everything down with it. And all the people on the raft start getting sucked down. And this ripple comes out and hits into them. And so then they all start going. So one guy survived that. So he goes back, but everything keeps changing. So his truck is different. Now all of a sudden he's got a kid that he doesn't even know. So he's gone into a totally different reality. So the reality he left is different. Now he's in a new reality, but there's a lot of similarities, but then there's things that are different. And so it starts freaking him out. So he starts getting lost in his own mind and starts not being able to stay like centered. And then other people start coming, people that he knew died with him, and then all of a sudden they're alive. And then all of a sudden it was just like crazy stuff. It was like he was just like shuffling through, like he would leave and come back, and all of a sudden his reality had changed. And so he was just in this weird shuffle of reality. And because he'd come back, and then his wife would go, what are you talking about? We don't have another son. We have one. He's like, because when he came back from the thing, he's like, oh, I have two sons. We have one. And she's like, no, this is your other son. Go through all that. And then all of a sudden he doesn't have that son. And he's very distraught because he loved that son after he got to know him. And so it's just like this guy is just going through it. And so, but he's not with the experts, but he had been interviewed by the journalist. And so they had this contact. So now the four experts, they're going all over the place trying to figure out what is going on. There's got to be an explanation for what is happening. And so I don't even remember all the different stuff. There was so much of the movie where this jumping realities. And like you would go, off a cliff, say, and because one part there was like on driving on a bridge, and then the bridge goes away, but you don't die, you just go into another reality. So you just go into another reality. She keeps shaking her head this morning. I cleaned her ears yesterday. So that's for jowls too. So it's jumping, it keeps having these jumping realities kind of thing. and these weird things of like this crossing over between ages or realities, because like I've said before, is we're sharing space with these other ages, these other realities, these other realms. Just because you think you're the only one there, well, you turn the dial a little bit and there's a whole nother world there. And so space time is not like what we've been told. Honey, I know you don't feel good. Come here. Um, so anyways, the so they have that part about the space time, and but they're trying to figure it out, of why this is happening. But they keep having these things happen that are in a different reality, but they is merging in these certain places. So they're trying to figure out like how this is happening. And at a certain part, there was all this talk. So then they found the grandparents of the little girl who was from the crash, and they go to talk to him. Well, he is out of he was out of the military, but he was out of a special ops kind of situation where they were working on, black, the hidden stuff that they hide from telling us. And so, and corporations are involved in money and all that stuff. So they, so he was involved with something, but once it had become unethical or something, he's like, well, I'm leaving. I'm not being a part of this. And so, but it continued. And so they meet up with him. So they're taking him back for something. I don't remember. And so he now is along with two of the guys. And another two are trying to look into something else. So you've got them figuring things out in two different parts. And so the so they start talking about that this military has been saying. So I think it was once this guy had come in, he starts telling them that the military, the government, knows that there's going to be this period of time that's going to happen in the future where to me it sounded like they were talking about the now. And so this movie was like 20 years old, but it sounded like they were talking about what's going on right now, presently. And so, so I was trying to, pay attention, but I was also trying to figure out my laptop and stuff. So so I was like, oh, so they're putting it out here about this stuff with the this energetic wave, and this energetic wave was going to come over us. I can't remember all the stuff they were explaining. It was all stuff that we've been, that everybody's saying, oh, this is going to happen. There's going to be a solar flash. There's going to be all this stuff that's going to happen. And so now these experts have figured it out that this is what's going to happen, but they're creating it. And so they start trying to figure out who's creating it. So this guy's helping them find this corporation who's funding this special ops, whatever, this program, and what it is they're doing. But what they're doing with this energy, so kind of, I guess, like what would be the most thing that we could think of as like CERN. And so they are doing this to try and do something, break through something, figure something out, something. But what they are having is a ripple in the energetic force from what they're doing. And so they were creating these ripples that were creating like the Bermuda Triangle and all that stuff. But it was being created by them, and that we were going to have this point in time where it was all going to fall apart. And it was going to bust, but all the humans were going to be disintegrated or something. And so and they know the date and time. They said that in this show. They know the date and time of when this is going to happen. So I was listening, like, what is the date and time? But they just said it's today. So then there's a big rush, like we've got to hurry and do all this because you know how the movies are. So and then they end up, saving the world, because whatever they did to stop the the ripple from the space time, whatever it is. But then they all end up in different realities. So everybody goes, like the world changes, but everybody's in different realities, which is another thing. What keeps being said is going to happen. We're all going to go into new realities. So, anyways, I just found it interesting that they were like, you'd have to watch it because, like I said, I can't always repeat all of this stuff that I can understand what they're saying, but I can't, repeat it like what they were saying. But there was definitely talking about things that are going on. Like I would look at the Bermuda Triangle or any of those things as being portal spaces, like wormholes or something, just like the one scientist was saying. I think it's a wormhole because, like I've said, is reality is like a webbing kind of thing, and so there's spaces in between, just like a honeycomb. So you have spaces that you can go in between, and so and it's layers. So realms and realities are all layered on top of each other, and there's wormholes or spaces to travel in through the different realms of reality, but they are portals, energetic portals where the energy isn't the same. It's like our energy here is a certain tone, say, but the tone is changing, and that is what everything is changing. While there's more worlds emerging in, which, man, my sky is showing it. I'm telling you, the sky over here is crazy looking, and is I don't even know if my shorts show how really crazy it is, but it is like it looks like different worlds coming together, and so that is what we are having. And in the beginning of the movie where it shows that ship coming, it was really cool because it does show like how something just is there in the reality in these ships, and it's there, and then it keeps going, but then it just fades away, it just disappears, because that is, and we are having these things merging into our reality because the frequency, the tone is changing. But that is the spaces in between is how you would move when you are in a certain tone or vibration. And this reality has its own tone, its own vibration, which is a low because we are in the dark. And so, but to move out of it, you have to create a higher vibration to move through the portal system, to move out and go into other worlds. And so that is a part of what we're doing, and it's making this reality fall apart. It's making this world fall apart, and we are pulling free, and we are beginning to create our own realities and be able to go into new realities. But anyways, I just thought it was interesting because they were showing that. But I've always thought, because I was always intrigued and interested about Bermuda Triangle when I was a kid. Every place where things would happen like that, because I had an understanding of like these holes, like just because a plane disappears, it's only disappeared from our reality. It's just gone into a different one, and so it's not like it's gone. It's just like they just went into a different reality. So so those things I've always found them interested. So I wasn't totally in alignment with them saying that they created them by trying to interfere. But I mean, I guess it's possible, but that is for a long time because Bermuda Triangle has been around for a long time. And but that when they start talking about that we are at this certain time where all these things are going to happen, and it's all happening. So I think that was a part of kind of like there's always these disclosures and stuff in movies. There's always stuff that's being said in the movies that is pertinent or more honest about our reality. And so for them to put this in this movie 20 years ago, even that one movie, the Moon Gets Even or whatever it's called, where they keep having the people, like it's also some electromagnetic thing, because that is all about in this one. It's this electromagnetic thing And so that's what they're trying to do, because they understand the magnetism, and they are trying to interfere. They're trying to open up portals or wormholes because they think they can go through them, but everything has to do with, it's like they're trying to escape their own reality, man. They're trying to escape their own reality. That's how horrible it is. They just want to go out and destruct other ones. They just want to go out there and see what's out there. But anyways, this electromagnetic situation, then that was also having to do with the moon and the the rotation. What is that called? Moon and the sun and all that stuff that they try to sell us. But but it was causing electromagnetic pull or something, which was interfering with gravity, which causes all the people to float away. But anyways, I do think that they understand about the magnetism, because even in those books of the hidden knowledge and the magic, the Knights of Templar. Okay, that's who. That's a big part of the takers, the keepers of the hidden truth. And then which I think the Knights, they became the Mason. I think that is the transition. But I'm not sure. I'm no expert. I just listen to all these different people talking about it. But there's the keepers of the knowledge, and then there's the other people who want to get the knowledge. But it's so funny too, because it's so much like this. It's like the never-ending story or something. It's like this fairy tale. It's like we're really in this fairy tale. Like the dark and the light are fighting, and you got to know what the battle really is. Otherwise, you are in the wrong battle. We're witnessing. A lot of people are in the wrong battle. So, but the stuff about the electromagnetosphere, and that they're trying to interfere with it, and but whatever, if it's something with that causes the people to start floating, if that was just something that could have happened and it's not gonna happen, if it's gonna happen, I don't even know at this point. Like, there's no telling what's gonna be. I mean, I know the main thing is for us all to wake up, and I know we're all gonna go to new realities. So, and that, we're just gonna go to a new reality. So, and I don't know how it's all gonna go down. I don't know how it's all gonna happen. But I know we're all going to go to a new reality that's going to be in alignment with our vibration. And so you want to work on your vibration. You don't want to end up in another one like this. But, if you're meant to be in another one like this, it's because you have lessons still to learn, so that you can become aware of the real battle, the real world, what you're really doing of being alive, what the real thing is about living. And so it's, so until you're ready to face the battle as a warrior, then you are building up it's building up your temple, it's building up your template, is creating you by going through all of the situations. But at some point, you become aware of the truth, of the true battle of what you're in, and it's a spiritual battle. Everything is about the spiritual battle. And so you have to, realize that there's people talking to you. You got to realize who to listen to and who not to listen to. You got to, push them back, however you want to do it. And, you got to figure out, if you're a warrior, and how do you fight this battle? Because that's what we're in. And but they've got people so tricked. And so, yeah. Like, just, I don't know, just watch how everything plays out. But that is essentially what it all comes down to, is this one falls apart and we all just go to new realities. It was kind of cool, too, when it would show the reality falling apart, because it was reminding me of that one movie that I've talked about a few times. Is it called Insipidus? Inception or something, with Leonardo DiCaprio, where when they're going through dreams to go into other realities, which also was other realities. But when one would start falling apart, it would start like falling apart and dissolving. And that's really, what we are in. We're in a reality that is falling apart. We're not holding it together. We're seeing through it. And so it's collapsing. And so we are preparing ourselves for our next destination. And so the destination I want to go towards, the one I'm headed towards, and fingers crossed, is when it's positive and loving and happy and healthy and not like this at all. And so it's a whole new world. And I'm willing to be a part of the creator. I'm willing to, do my part. And so, but, in order to change your vibration, in order to pull yourself free, you do have to work on yourself, because otherwise you're just a trap. You're in a trap. And it's a trap that most people don't even understand, because you got to understand the emotional, spiritual side of this world and how they keep you trapped. So, you got to cleanse yourself of all of the darkness that is on you. And so you got to pull yourself free, which this shirt, like, it's weird because it's not, it's, when I'm saying darkness, I was like, it's weird because this shirt looks like it's really dark, but it's this color. That's the thing with lighting. It changes how things look. So, anyways, the, but that is where we have to raise our vibration in order to get to the place you want to go. If you're just sitting back and doing nothing, then you're going to end up in another situation like this. You'll go to another place like this, I guess. And, but if you want to go to a better place, if you think of it being better, I mean, if you go into a place that is the same as this, it's better for you, because you are still in the process of learning. So it's going to help you in your journey. So it's not like it was the wrong or the right. But when you become aware, yeah, it's hard to think like, oh yeah, I want to go back and conquer this again. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready to go to the happy place. I want to go somewhere happy. I want to go to somewhere where it's free and loving, and totally different energy. This one is heavy and dark. So, but you have to, keep working on bringing yourself to that vibration, which is a challenge. And that's what we're going through, is the challenges, the obstacles, all of the things that we have that you can use to your benefit to recreate yourself. And that's where, that's why, I think Donald was saying stuff like, well, it's time to move on. Come on, guys, let's move on. Even, I guess, ChatGPT has said that it was even saying he's from the star galaxy of wherever. And he's here as a catalyst to expose things. So, yeah, that's how I see it. And so, yeah, when he's saying, okay, let's move on now, it's because there's so many people who are just stuck going over and over and over and over it. And it's burdensome. It would bring you down. People are not being able to sleep. They're not being able to eat. They're falling apart. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to pay their taxes. I've been there, done that. So anyways, it is a time to keep yourself moving. Don't get stuck. Don't become stagnant and just keep going over and over and over stuff. You got to keep going on. There's plenty, it just keeps coming in and coming and coming in. It's coming in faster and faster and faster. I'm sure this week is going to be full of all sorts of drama and stuff, especially if, there's going to be people on the stand telling the truth and exposing them all. So, anyways, I just saw this chancellor, what was the guy, prime minister or something of Czechoslovakia or something, and he was on a thing sitting next to Hillary, and so she was, on her Donald sucks or whatever, and so the guy starts questioning her on it, and she just keeps spouting off, and he's like, well, I'm sorry you're so triggered. But he seems to be doing really good stuff. It's really funny. And her voice, it's not even the real original. Her voice is so cringe. Which, there's a singer who's popular right now, and somebody was showing, doing the thing about the substance, and there's something about, you get a new revised version. That girl does look like her. It's so weird. And she's a popular singer right now who's always dressed in, sexy. They get them in their lingerie, come out and dance for us. Dance, Papa, dance. Sing for us. It's like, God, these people, okay. So, Anyways, I was just like, oh my God. But I don't know. The real Hill, I mean, I think she's gone. And I think that they are, doing things, whatever it is, to really dismantle or whatever. I don't know that you can dismantle their soul. I don't really know. Once it starts getting to that point, if they just send them back to the dark or whatever. I mean, there's all sorts of speculation on that whole thing. So, but we do want to, if you feel so called to, if you feel motivated to move towards the light, you got to learn how to let things go, to keep moving, to move forward, to face your darkness, to face um the your pain and suffering, to relieve yourself of your pain and suffering. And you have to do that through forgiveness. Stop being bitter. Stop being revengeful and vindictive. You got to let go of all that stuff, and that takes forgiveness. So you got to work on forgiving people, and you got to big one you got to forgive is yourself, because you're gonna the throughout the equation, throughout the process, you're going to get mad at yourself. You're going to be like hard on yourself. You're going to think like, God, how could I be this stupid? How could I do such stupid shit? And so you got to learn how to forgive yourself. So, and in that whole process, that's where you learn to love yourself. So you got to learn how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody. And because that's the world we want to go to, is a loving world. And it's not just so we can be worshipped, it's so we can all be equal and love each other and be fair and be kind. So, and then we got to learn how to be able to zoom in and zoom out, to not get too hyper focused on something, to be able to pull yourself free and move on to the next thing. There's plenty out there, one obstacle after another, but all the obstacles are to create triggers to create you to find yourself. So that's why you got to maneuver through this period of time through a spiritual lens, through a deeper understanding of why it's all happening, and get out of the three-dimensional trap that they want to keep you trapped in, because that will keep you on the surface, and it will keep you from going deep enough to really raise your vibration. Okay, I don't know what's going on with her, so we'll see what that's all about. But we'll, and today's Monday, so the 16th, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, but we'll see what happens today. So we'll see what happens today, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.